Yesterday we saw that God promised to bring his Spirit into the world. And the hope of that, it was not simply that God's Spirit would come into the world, but that he would come into our lives. And we need that hope, because on our own, there's no way we're going to live in the fullness of the life that we were meant to live.
And we are living in the days of that promise. We are living in the days that were prophesied long ago that the Holy Spirit would come. The nation of Israel was invited into this covenant relationship with God, where he would be their God and they would be his people. But they could not sustain that. They rebelled time and time again, and it was their disobedience that eventually led to their exile.
And their struggle was not unique to them. Like, their struggle is our struggle. It's the human struggle. The mistakes made when we walked away from God in the very beginning led to brokenness. And you don't have to look far to find it. Just turn on the news. We see it all around the world. The human struggle, the human brokenness, the impact of sin all around us. And sometimes it's even close at home. Like, we have 2 teenage daughters, and wow, we could see it so clearly in them at times. But even when they were young, little ones, already then you could see it in the tantrums, in the struggles, the squabbling, the petty fights. And yet even in them, I see the reflection of me, my own tendencies to still be a broken person and not able to rise above the echoes of Eden, the longing to be the person I was created to be, not able to do that in who I am, which is why we need hope. We need the hope of someone greater coming into the story.
And the prophets of Israel predicted that there would come a day where God would pour out his Spirit, not just on a few select leaders, but on all of his people, all of those who belong to him. And so we see in the book of Isaiah, we see that the Holy Spirit is not a friendly ghost or a vibe or a feeling. The Holy Spirit has characteristics. It says that he is the Spirit of wisdom, the Spirit of understanding, the Spirit of counsel, the Spirit of might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord. It's the Holy Spirit that empowers us to love God and to delight in him. Isaiah talked about how when the Messiah would come, the Holy Spirit would rest on his shoulders. And we see this beautiful passage in Isaiah 61, and it says this, it says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from the darkness for the prisoners." And this was the actual prophecy that Jesus read in the synagogue in Nazareth when he began his ministry.
And it's Jesus who brings this promise into reality. God made this promise all throughout the Old Testament scriptures, this promise that he would send his Spirit. In Ezekiel 36, God promises to the people that because they couldn't do it, they failed continually, he said, "I'll remove from you your heart of stone and I'll give you a heart of flesh. I will put my Spirit in you to move you to follow and listen to what I have to say." And then God makes this beautiful promise through the prophet Joel. In Joel 2, he says that I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my Spirit in those days. And those days were the days that Jesus brought into reality. We see that he made the promise of the Spirit to come. And then in Acts 2, what we call the day of Pentecost, was when the gift of the Spirit came and hope had entered their lives. Hope had entered their story.
And this is our hope, that God is still pouring out his Spirit today, pouring out his Spirit on those who love and follow after him. And it's the hope of his Spirit that empowers us, that's going to equip us to love God with all of our heart, with all of our soul, with all of our mind, and with all of our strength.